Hello, myself Sunil. This is basically 70 number part basically of the PHP introduction. PHP basically. So in this basically we are discussing the object-oriented programming. So this all are the object-oriented programming. This thing everything basically we saw in the previous video basically. Most of thing basically we saw. Now basically one of the person told that in object-oriented how basically object oriented works basically. One of the person told that object oriented basically we got it, but how it works basically, yeah, basically in the real programming world basically. So let's take one example basically. First of all basically define a class basically. In this using the class keyword basically. So class is one keyword basically which is defined by the PHP group basically, and the name basically you can give here basically. All its property and method goes inside the braces basically. Whatever brackets basically are given. So see basically PHP class is basically PHP command. It's a basically PHP keywords basically. So you have to give inside the PHP because this is PHP ongoing. So here is one of the person do that like this. Define the this is the basically the class and code goes here basically, and here basically the class goes close this. So defined by class keyword basically. Declare the class basically. Declare the fruit consisting two properties this, and the method is two basic. So this basically say that we have declared one class fruit, two variable, that is basically public. Public means it's available basically everywhere within the class in all the methods basically, because it's a public na basically, and you can basically access this public variable through this class object basically. So see basically two methods are given, set name and get name basically. One parameter basically gets passed and that parameter basically gets allocated to this basically. So this means this basically, this name basically. This is the class basically. Class name basically, this object basically. Note in the class variable called property and function are called by the methods basically. So see basically what are the stuff. Defining the objects basically has done through new keyword basically. So see basically this much basically it's clear, right? Fruits. Here basically we define two objects basically. One is apple and one is banana. Class is same basically. Set name. Two name basically we have set it in two objects. Get name. But here what is? One is apple and one is banana. So two object basically with the same class name, that basically connects to C basically. Set name is one function, right basically, which will allocate which will collect this parameter from here and allocate the name to this here basically, name variable of this particular class basically, and which is basically inside this set name basically. So this is the object class, object class. Here basically one of the person to the why basically you have given like this basically. Set name basically is one function basically which is passing this parameter, which is basically taking this data and this data, and here also basically we are passing this data. So two objects basically are there. So one of the person told that this type of requirements also basically comes basically. So after that basically you have taken the get name, but here two objects are there, apple and banana. apple and banana. So see in the example about two more methods basically to the class root for setting the getting the color property. It's not color property. So is basically below example basically. So above example basically we already saw. Same thing basically as above. Here set name is also there and set color is also there and get color method is also there. Same thing basically as taken as above. Set name, set color, get name and get color. So this keyword basically refers to the current object and only available inside the method basically. For example, let's see one example. Where we can change the value of set name, there are two ways. One inside the class adding a set name method and using this. This is the method basically. And this basically is the inside this class basically. So see basically, this all basically as given basically. What are the person told that why basically this keyword basically are used? Instead of this keyword basically you can't basically use directly some class name or method name or object name or basically whatever things basically comes into the picture. This means so that is also basically question basically. One of the person what is this then basically? Because one of the person told that you told that basically in previous lecture that each and every word basically connects to the physical location. So here this basically connects where basically in which city basically in which country basically. So that's very dangerous thing basically. This is very dangerous thing. So we are not discussing in detail basically, but later on basically we will discuss what actually really the this is. Inside this inside the class basically by adding the set name method and using this basically inside this class inside the class basically. So see basically apple is basically one object and the name basically are used. So this whole thing basically we have already discussed basically. Instance of you can use the instance of keyword to check if the object belong to a specific class or not basically. Objects is belonging to specific class or not basically. But for that basically this type of programming basically this function with this basically keywords basically applies then basically you are using very large number of classes basically and you basically forget basically which class basically I am using this that basically. So you are basically if you are doing some big level of programming that time should be you should be clear about the what class basically you are using what construction basically you are using each and every stuff basically. So in next video basically we are going to see a little bit more about this keyword this programming.